This is a Gerber MP600, and this is a pair of scissors off a Victorinox Swiss Champ. Today we're going to see if we can swap these in, and if this is possible, you could probably swap in just about any part you want to into an MP600. Now, this is the Pro Scout model, which means it does come with scissors, but you can see that these are going to be much more capable scissors. They're very well renowned for their for how well they work, and the MP600 scissors, not so much. Now, I did make a mistake when planning this build, so we are going to just jump in and see how it goes. It does look like this will be a direct swap for the scissors, but we'll find out shortly. In order to modify these scissors to fit, I took just the serrated blade here from the MP600 and lined up the center holes. I drilled this out. I do recommend a carbide bit. I bought the wrong size, so I ended up having to grind it out with some different Dremel attachments, but with a carbide bit, that becomes pretty trivial to drill out to match. And then all I did was grind any excess on the scissors to match the profile of the serrated blade. Again, have not attempted this and have not seen it done, so it is questionable whether this will succeed, but we are going to find out right now. So I've got our MP600 wrenches here, and this side, there's one side on the MP600 that is static and one that will spin. Just make sure you're turning the right side. You can kind of see on this side where it goes into the frame. Certainly in person, it's a little bit more clear. But we're just going to loosen this up, and once we get it loose, we can spin it off, and there we go. Start seeing about getting those scissors in place. Now, I may use the technique I showed in last week's Mod Monday, where we don't disassemble the full tool, only the parts that are necessary. We will play it a little bit by ear here and find out what works best, but the scissors are the first tool here, so that does make it a good candidate for this type of mod. What I'm going to do is just push. I can actually see between the tools, I don't know if you can see that, where the gap is between the pivot and this punch. So I'm going to hold the pivot in place. I'm just going to release the punch, and the scissors drop down. I will go ahead and replace the punch and slide everything back in place. Let's see, I did lose a washer there, and I should be able to slide these scissors out, yes. So let's get the stack realigned here. If we look down the inside, we can see, hopefully it's in focus, the tool stack, and I've got one washer out of place, or spacer. And Gerber, well, let me pull this out so you can see. Gerber has these nice big tabs on their spacers. They can go onto the pivot in any orientation, but that tab needs to be in the recess on the back. Let me just push this pivot in so it doesn't go loose, and I can show you there is this kind of opening in the back that those tabbed spacers, those tabs sit into. That prevents all the tools from opening, from clumping up as you go to open the tool. Now, I do believe this is going to be a pretty direct swap. We can always add a washer down the line if it needs a little bit of padding. I'm just going to slide that pivot back as little as I can, and we will start to work these scissors in. Let's make sure, yep, this is the correct orientation, I believe. I need a little bit more room on that spacer. You can see that pivot is just barely peeking out of the tool stack, and hopefully with a little bit of flexion, we can get that in. I think I need a little bit more. I'm going to tilt this down so that washer uses a little bit of gravity to hold it in place, because there is not much of that pivot sticking out now. And, oops, see, we lost that. We lost that pivot. Or excuse me, not the pivot, but we lost the washer. I'm just going to realign that with my tweezers. there we have it. I'm going to hold that in place and just show you. We've got, oops, let's focus up here, please. Just that washer is going out of alignment. And that's pretty typical when you're reassembling these tools. Now, I did just get it to drop a little bit, but I do believe, yep, we lost that washer again. So we're going to play around with this for a little bit here. We are recording live, so hope you're along for the ride. Let's see what we can do to ease this tension. Drop that washer in place. Just backing that out ever so slightly. Let me go to the vise here just for a steadier hand on this. I'm just trying to work the scissors in to that opening. I wonder if, I don't think that that's necessary. Let's just see what we can do here. Trying to balance a couple of different things at once. Okay, I'm backing that pivot out as much as I can, just to give as much clearance here as possible. And there we have it. Now I can tell that I did not move that washer too much. And yes, by pushing up on that pivot, it just dropped almost all the way into place. Well, this is going to be a quick mod. That's new. What you'll need to do is orient this back end of this washer so it keys into the frame properly. Otherwise, you won't get enough reach out of it. And then the other thing you can do is just back that lock off, because that lock is going to apply tension to that pivot. Now, everything's in place. I don't know that that means this is going to work, but we are close to a proper test of this modification, which is exciting. Let me grab my wrenches here. I think I'm a little bit cross-threaded, so I'm going to start by backing that out just a touch. I think I got it there. And we can spin that screw. Just use a little bit of an angle on the wrench just to keep it above the this locking plastic or composite locking tab. Our wrenches don't have, perfectly softened edges. Trying to keep the cost down, so they can kind of mar that up just a little bit. Just something to be aware of. Now we have a nearly working prototype here. And let's look closely and kind of address the issues that I'm seeing. So just going to tighten that up, cinch that nice and tight, and back it off about a quarter turn. So the first thing I'm seeing, it does lock in place, but it does have all of this wiggle room. If I pull out a fresh pair of scissors, you can see that is probably a mistake on my end. Is it now? Let's see. Where is it catching? I think what I've done is I've ground a little bit too much off between here and what was, yes. See, a lot of this got ground off, and I went a little bit far on that. So you do want to be careful when you do that, because otherwise you're going to get this kind of blade play. Now, that's not catastrophic. These will still work as scissors. All your pressure is going to go in that direction, but certainly not ideal. So something to watch out for. Now let's see about closing these, because they didn't want to close up, and I can tell you exactly why that is. So they will close up most of the way. Something's catching somewhere. So the first thing that's catching here when we go to close these, If I unlock the tool and I push that down, it's stopping right there. We could fix that by reprofiling this edge slightly, this corner. The reason is I don't know if you can see it, there's a little bit of a lip inside here that is biting into. It's just catching on it, nothing crazy. So if you squeeze the scissors first, it will begin to go further. Now, as far as its final closure, it is also catching on something. I'm not sure what that is. I wonder, let's compare here. I'm going to squeeze that down. Can you see this? Okay. I'm going to hold that right in place. Take a fresh pair. And we're just going to check the length on this. Yep. I can tell, but you guys can't. From this angle, I'm guessing that back end is still catching on something. It does function though. So I'd love to take another stab at this because they don't close all the way. I am guessing that, no, that's fine, okay. I'm guessing you could very easily do this. It would just take a little bit of patience. I needed to test the fit a little bit more often on a tool like this. So obviously we have this lock play, which is not something we can fix at this point, but we can fix the other issues. What I would do, let me grab a Sharpie here, because I may do this off camera again for a future bit of video. I'm going to mark this angle. And if we were to carry that angle down, probably right about like this, and just remove everything in here. Let's see. We want to almost come, and in fact, we can't remove too much because that spring relies on that edge there. So let me clean that off a bit, and we'll remark it. So if we close these up all the way, that is the angle we want. And we don't want to go any further than this. So this whole bottom edge could be ground off, and we could see how that works. No guarantees, but I bet we could get this to work absolutely perfectly just by shortening it up a little bit. That said, that is some Victorinox scissors on a Gerber MP600. Kind of an interesting modification. Again, one I haven't seen, one I didn't even intend to be doing today, but we did make a bit of a mistake. I grabbed this blade, thought it was for a Leatherman rebar, and found out after the fact it's for the MP600. So that is an attempt at that mod. I do like doing mods I know are going to work, but it's always fun to do some that you're going to find out as you go. So if you guys want to see more mods like this, or if there's any mods you do want to see, let me know in the comments below. We do record these live with members every Tuesday now, and the videos go live on the following Mondays. So become a member if you want to join in live. With that said, we're going to go over to a quick Q&A with our members. And thank you all who are watching after the fact. Hopefully that was a bit of an interesting modification. At least you get to see a little bit behind the scenes and a little bit of the thought process. Let me know what else you'd like to see next. And thanks for joining us.